Is 9:05, and that music means that we are joined by Greenwich Fire Chief Joseph McHugh. Chief McHugh, thank you so much for being here this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So as I've been mentioning all morning, I'm sitting in for Tony Savino, and normally you and Tony do this show here, and you have a very full list of things that you want to cover, and this morning is no exception.
Yep.
I guess, do you mind if I move around on this list?
You can move around all you want.
First off, I think the fact that we have this weather coming in is important.
Yes.
And you guys are on call for stuff like this.
Right.
What does this mean for the fire department?
Right. So we have the report of today's supposed to be just like lighter rain. Then tonight we're supposed to get some heavier rains, and then tomorrow it's supposed to turn into some snow. So that means for us we have all of our troops on alert with the winds and stuff like that. A lot of stuff that happens in these storms with the fire department, wires down. With the heavier rain, but I don't anticipate it with this storm, is flooding, basements flooding and stuff like that. But, right now our biggest concern are the winds, the power outages, and trees down, blocking roadways and stuff like that, so impeding our responses to certain areas, so that's the biggest thing. But for our homeowners, if you do lose power, and you have a generator, like a portable generator, gasoline generator, please do not run it inside your house. I know it's convenient to, people that tend to put it in their basements so they can fuel it. It's not raining. You have to leave it outside your house. Because those generators, they produce CO, and the CO will build up in your house, and it's dangerous for you and your family. So it has to be left outside, vented outside. Do not put them inside your house, your garage, even your garage. If you have an attached garage, it doesn't work.
I've seen them out in the driveway with the garage door open. That's okay.
Spot. Yes. Or if you want to throw it in your garage, just detach, not attach your house. That's fine too. You know what I mean? You just open up the door, but you do not put it inside your home where you're living in. So.
So when do we call the fire department?
In the storms like this?
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
I mean, we don't call you if the power is out.
No, the power is out. No, unless the power is out, unless the power lines in your house and your driveway, the fire department is not somebody to call if the power goes out.
So down lines,
any sort of electrical condition in your house. Maybe you smell some electrical odors or stuff like that in your house. We don't pump. The biggest thing, a lot of people think we pump out basements. We do not pump out basements. That's not the fire department function. Because pumping out a basement takes a considerable amount of time, and we can't keep our units out of service that long. So,
and flooding.
You could see some flooding because of the tides down in Old Greenwich stuff, but not with the rain. That's where we have to worry about.
What potential issues does flooding present for you guys? And
obviously, flooding is access. People can't get in and out of their homes. Flooding of their houses. If it's bad enough, may cover up the hydrants. You might know where the hydrants are and things like that. But obviously, flooding, you can't get in. You can't get the fire trucks in. During Sandy, which was unprecedented anywhere in this area. You couldn't get some fire trucks in because the water was so high. And the fire truck, you can only go so high. If it goes over the grill of the fire truck can stall out. And what happened in some of these cases with the salt water, that means the fire truck's it's got to go to a certified mechanic to get fixed.
From the damage.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because that's just going to be flooding as a salt water.
And what about, as far as you bring up an interesting point with salt water, that a lot of people now, they're starting to drive electric vehicles.
Correct.
And like what we saw happen down in Florida.
Correct.
When the salt water recedes, then you have battery explosions,
Correct.
Fires with the vehicle, and it could also ignite your house as well.
Correct. Those are the newer technology we're dealing with now, and with electric vehicles, which are still new to the fire service. And we see what's going on with these reconditioned batteries down in New York City and these other cities. Where they're catching on fire, and apartments are catching on fire, and
e-bikes,
and stuff like that. So, but understand all that stuff going. That's what we call reconditioned batteries. They're not buying brand new batteries; they're buying batteries that are reconditioned. Not saying it's not, that can happen with the electric vehicles, but.
WGCH News Center time is 10 minutes after 9. We're so pleased to have in studio Greenwich Fire Chief Joseph McHugh, and we are talking about some really important topics. John Iannuzzi in for Tony Savino, Matt Kayan joining us. We have a full docket of things that we want to cover. Before we go to our break, I did talk earlier today, the Red Cross which covers Greenwich and Westchester counties. They're looking for volunteers.
Yes.
And you guys are very reliant upon volunteers.
Yes, we have our volunteer firefighters along with our career firefighters as well. So they all play vital roles in our fire department. And as like us, we always are looking for volunteers as well. Because unfortunately, throughout the country, not just the town of Greenwich, the number of volunteer firefighters has declined.
Is it dwindling? Yeah.
It's a great way to support your community, but it's also hard. You have to go through a lot of training before you can actually do that.
And one of the things that you wanted to talk about were physicals for these volunteers.
Yeah, right. So right now, if you drive by the Central Firehouse, you'll see a big, almost like a motorhome kind of setup, but that's what we're doing now. Because in the past, the volunteers would go for their physicals throughout the year, and the problem was a lot of them had to take a couple days. Now with COVID, you have to go for COVID tests, which that's ending pretty soon. But now with the stress test is one day, the physical is another day. So a lot of volunteers.
We had a cardiologist on just a short while ago.
Oh, did you? Oh, gee.
Stress tests and jeez.
So now we're trying to do one-stop shopping, which is good, which is great for everybody, and hopefully we'll do the same thing with our career staff with their physicals. They're mostly done with their physicals. Our physicals obviously got delayed a lot with COVID and stuff like that. So we're hoping everybody on board by the end of this. We're all the same level, and then move forward to doing a better physicals for all of our firefighters.
Make it easier for them,
Make it
right?
easier, right? Yeah. Exactly.
And what's the process? Like, how long does the process take?
The physical, or to be joined
to actually join the volunteer?
There's a lot of paperwork. There's some like online training you have to do, and then you have to take a firefighter 1 course, which is like 130-something hours. Which is a lot. It's during the week, on the weekends. So unfortunately, we had a couple prospective volunteers who basically said, I can't. I coach my son's, baseball, football, whatever team it was, and I can't take, or I'm going away for a month. Some people's jobs make them travel for a month.
Chief McHugh, I got to tell you, I have a 4-year-old, and it's incredible. I made the mistake of dipping my toe. I shouldn't say this on the air, but dipping my toe into kind of like the parent-teacher involvement thing, because I really want to know what's going on there. Right. It's incredible, the amount of, with the expectations they have of parents.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, I coached my son's baseball until he was 12.
Until he was in college, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he's not college yet, so... So it's a lot of work, and a lot on these kids, with the athlete. Like Thursday is a good example. We have a bunch of our high school students coming to the Greenwich Fire Department for their civics class. They come, they volunteer, so we have them do stuff around the firehouse and stuff like that. Kind of do a little introduction to the fire service, and then hopefully get to feed them a nice little dinner when they're done.
I want to talk more when we come back from the break about why are fire departments and food so intertwined.
Are you talking to the right person?
If you're going to have someone man the kitchen. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Right.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
This is Gideon Fountain.
And I'm Jonathan Wilcox.
Our show is called
Your Greenwich House.
And therefore it's about what?
Regional real estate trends, residentially and commercially, with an emphasis on Greenwich.
Exactly. We talk about what's selling and not selling in Greenwich, residential real estate mostly. And we try to keep it light. It's funny. It's a funny show, but it's also going to be useful and informative.
That's Your Greenwich House at its new time, Wednesday mornings at 10 on 1490 WGCH.
I got to tell you, this segment is flying by.
Yeah, exactly.
And boy, we have a lot to discuss. And we were just talking off air again about the involvement of volunteers, right, versus some departments are all volunteer. Right. You're looking for volunteer. The physicals are going on now. One last time, remind people, Chief McHugh, who should be coming by. As you said, there's a trailer there to expedite this physical process. Tell us about it.
It's important because a lot of our volunteer firefighters, especially after the COVID, it was a day getting your COVID test, it was a day getting your physical, and it was a day getting your stress test. So this is a one-stop shopping for everybody, which is great. So people aren't taking days off. Hopefully moving to the same kind of model for our career personnel, because throughout the whole year, our career personnel go for their physicals. That takes a company out of service. They have to go to Stanford. Hopefully we can get all this done in one shot, which is I appreciate my Assistant Chief Charlie Wicke and Chief Leonard, our training chief, for getting this put together, and their hard work on this, and hopefully it'll be a better way for all of us to do our physicals. So if you see that truck in the police alley over there,
that's what it is.
That's what it is. It's been there since Saturday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, they'll be there.
You have a new assistant chief?
Yeah, we just got approval from the Board of Selectmen. Justin McCarthy, who's the assistant chief up in the New Haven Fire Department. He'll be joining us in a couple weeks in April. We'll be swearing him in. So he brings a lot of experience. He's very young, which is a good thing, and he brings a lot of different ideas and technology and things like that. So we're looking forward to having him aboard.
New Haven. Now, I mean, listen, Greenwich, the size of Greenwich is like a city.
Oh, Greenwich is like a city. It's like a city in more ways than just the size of it.
Most people don't realize that.
Right. It's just, I think to me, it's almost a city with all the amount of people that come here during the day. It's a very busy town, but obviously by the government, it's not a city.
Right.
It's still a town. It's a beautiful town, but there's a lot of stuff during the day and during the weekdays. There's a lot going on in Greenwich.
WGCH News Center time is 9:17. We're speaking with Fire Chief Joseph McHugh, John Iannuzzi, Matt Kayan with you, filling in for Tony Savino. And, we talked earlier about the impact that this storm that we're expecting could have, but there's a number of other winter fire safety.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we were very lucky this winter with the winter we've had. You know what I mean? So
it's been warmer.
It's been very warm, which I'm not complaining about. But yeah, a lot of stuff we always talk every time during the winter. We talk about fireplace stuff, which might be people might be lighting their fireplaces tonight or every night, just discarding their ashes properly, putting them in non-combustible containers.
Yeah, I think about the Stanford.
Like I said, same thing about think of it like a generator. Don't put the ashes in your house. Don't on the outside.
Outside.
It doesn't. I know it's going to be pouring rain tonight, but you're better off throwing them outside your house, away from your house. Put them in the middle of wherever you have to do when you clean them out. But obviously throughout the country. And we've had some fires related to fireplace ashes, not disposing of them properly.
There was one right here a decade ago in
Stanford.
Avenue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Horrendous. That was one of the worst things I ever had to cover. Chief McHugh, in the winter, what are some of the more frequent calls that you guys get?
We get a lot of chimney fires in the wintertime. You know what I mean? People, that's another important piece, not just getting rid of your ashes, but cleaning them properly. And by a licensed chimney sweep, not by, my brother does it. My cousin's brother does it.
I'm glad that you said that, because my wife and I were talking about this. Why is that one of those industries? Why is that one of those things that lends itself to charlatans? Why? I mean, you got to be careful, right?
Yeah, when they use mattresses,
right? Exactly.
When they knock on the door and say they want to clean your chimney, that's not a
no, right? I would not go with a person like that. Make sure you get a licensed person to do it, clean it out properly, get rid of the creosote and stuff that might be building up on.
What is creosote?
That's also when the wood burns and stuff like that. The type of wood you put in there, you know what I mean, and things like that.
And those logs that they sell.
Those like the Dermaflame.
Yeah, you're rolling your eyes.
I mean, no, you could use them. I mean, it's not going to give you much. I don't know how much warmth it's going to give you compared to getting some nice dried out wood.
Some of them claim though to break down the gunk that's up there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rely on that. I'd rather rely on somebody. The problem happens. A lot of people have with these. They have beautiful homes and they have the wood cedar shingles on their roofs. You know what I mean? So I would get if you have a roof like that, any roof, I would get it done properly. That's a lot happens. A lot of the embers come to the fireplaces and and ignite the roof too. Sometimes it happened to us a couple of times last year.
And those are a Class C fire rating, the wood shingles, as opposed to a Class A,
which
would be asphalt or.
Hey Matt, you should volunteer, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you live,
Seems
Matt?
like you know an awful lot about this. Some of the other things is obviously the space heaters.
Yeah, space heaters are big. Yep, everybody. If you're going to use a space heater, make sure it's plugged into an outlet, not into a extension, but a power strip, things like that. Those.
Why is that?
It just. People overload these power strips and stuff. And then the space heater might take more electricity than a standard thing, so it might overheat and cause a fire. I'd rather put it right into my wall. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not telling you not to have a space heater.
Do you use it?
No. I have the AC on 24/7. I have a little bit of body insulation here.
I think, I checked where I live. I have propane, and I checked. There's about 20% left, and I'm like, come on, John, you could make this.
Yeah, right.
We could make it till the spring.
Yeah. No, but listen, don't put it. And shut them off when you're not home. Don't leave them on. Don't leave them unattended.
Yeah.
Don't leave any combustibles. Like we had one where it got, not intentionally, but when we got out of bed, the blanket fell on top of the space heater and the blanket caught on fire. Thankfully, it was just confined to the blanket. We got there quick enough, thankfully.
Do you know how? Go ahead, man.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's just common sense, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. You would think, but
I can't tell you how many times I've left the house and been like, we left the candle burning.
Yeah, right, exactly. That
happens.
It
it's these common sense things, right, that end up with you guys.
I'm not saying to leave them burning. They're in they're glass jars now. Not like it used to be where it was just sitting there.
Right.
When we were kids growing up,
Well, my
father was a fireman, so we never had many candles.
Okay.
So, no. Only on our birthday cakes. That was about it.
I mean, obviously everyone listening knows, but tell us a little bit about yourself again.
Oh, I grew up in Greenwich my whole life, and then I got on the New York City Fire Department in 1991, and I was there for 30 years, and I had the privilege of coming here as the fire chief.
Yeah.
That's basically a nutshell.
Yeah. I've covered the department for many, many years, and as we've said, it takes a lot of great people to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You have a new administrative assistant who will help you in that respect.
Yeah, she's replacing, we had Vicky Gabriel, who's here with us for 12 years, who was an integral part of the fire department. She is retiring. We wish her nothing but the best in retirement. And we hired Stacy Collins. She's from town, but she actually lives in Stamford now. So we're looking for, right now we're in a transition, so her and Vicky are working together. But we're looking forward to having her on board and stuff like that. So it'll be sad to see Vicky leave, but, we'll see how, hopefully Stacy will take, we'll continue with what's going on, and maybe we'll do a few more things with her as well.
New faces.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, yeah.
WGCH News Center time is 9:22, and when we come back, I want to talk about fire plan review fees. Yep. You have an update for us on that. And then, of course, as Matt and I were talking about on the air this morning, when we spring ahead, you guys always tell us it's the time to do a certain thing.
Yes.
Well, we'll do it after the break.
I hope we get the lunches in, too.
All right. Yeah, we will.
Nobody knows like Finocchio knows. We knows our business.
For over 50 years, Finocchio Brothers Incorporated has served the commercial and residential construction industries with scheduled or on-call trash and debris removal. Finocchio can also supply you with any size or special dumpster. For prompt, reliable service with radio dispatch trucks, the ability to load at ground level, and always a competitive price, call Finocchio Brothers every time. In Connecticut, call 203-869-9099. Or in New York, call 914-939-5346. Finocchio Brothers, Liberty Place in Stamford. We knows our business. Call 203-869-9099 or 914-939-5346.
All right, WGCH News Center time is 9:23. We are so pleased to be joined in studio by Greenwich Fire Chief Joseph McHugh. We've been going over a lot of really important information, and we've talked about the new assistant chief. You've got a new administrative assistant, and you have two new recruits.
Yes. We just sworn 2 new firefighters just started a few weeks ago in the academy. We just graduated 6 in December, and they're on shift now. We got 6 really great guys. We really like the 2 guys up in the academy. So, they'll be graduating sometime around Memorial Day. That'd be good. So they take the place of 2 people that retired. So.
And I guess again remind us what they went through to get there.
It's a 15-week class, and they spend the nights up there. They go up Sunday, and they go back to their houses on Friday. So they're away from home for 5 days. So they go through rigorous training. They get certified, all different things, and so it's really good.
So people listening, you can rest assured that when you call for help, that the people who get to your house or wherever you're calling from are ready to assist and are capable.
Yes.
Now, I tease the fact that this time of year we always say when you spring ahead, it's a good time to remind yourself to do what?
Change your smoke detector batteries.
Yeah.
If you have smoke, some of the smoke, the newer ones don't have them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some are just good for like 10 years, but you still have a smoke detector with batteries. Change your battery this time. So I don't know how we're going to get the message across, because rumor is it's the last time we set the clocks back, forward or ahead. I don't know if that's true, but
I hope so.
Yeah, I know. I kind of miss that hour of sleep.
And what about your carbon monoxide detectors too? That's
same thing. Yep, exactly. Good point. Same thing.
Well, a lot of them are tied together.
A lot of them are tied together. Another combination detectors. Right.
You know what I bought?
All my smoke detectors in my house, but one is not battery operated.
So what is it? It's tied to?
Yeah, no, it's not hardwired. It's just the way they come now. You pull the little tab and they're activated. And
yeah, I think that's what I have too.
Right. Yeah.
And then you just chuck them when you're done.
But I'll tell you, the one that has, every time I make bacon on Saturday, Sunday,
yeah,
or Monday through Friday,
yeah,
it always goes off.
He likes his bacon.
My wife gets complaints about it. But I'm like, Pam, at least you know that the smoke detector works.
Well, I'll tell you what I did. My daughter and I made some cookies.
Yep.
And I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Right. And I put the cookies on in the stove in what I guess is a drying rack.
Oh, no.
So they just kind of drip through. It was like, obviously there was no fire, but now every time my wife puts on the oven,
it gets
reheats.
Yep.
Goes off. Yep. So this is, again, a good time to do that. You've had a visitor, you said.
Yes. We had a few weeks ago, we were pleasantly visited by past Chief John Titsworth, which was nice to see him come in, and we kind of reminisced. And it was actually the day we swore on those two new firefighters. So
that's great. Was that by design?
Kind of, yeah. So he's been meaning to get up there, so hopefully he'll be a more frequent visitor and see him more often.
Now, do people come back? I mean, I think once a firefighter, right? Always a firefighter.
Yeah, some people do come back, right? Exactly, yeah. So we see a couple retired people that come back, from time to time.
Do firefighters give advice to do the old guys give advice to the new kids?
Some of them do. I mean, not so much as the retired guys as the senior firefighters do. The younger firefighters. That's kind of like, where I worked in New York City, the senior firefighters basically told you what to do. You know what I mean? And they told you something, you did it. And that's how it worked. So.
Now we have some lousy weather coming in, and you told us that you're prepared for that, and you don't anticipate too much craziness going on. But we need to be ready,
right?
And it sounds like the flooding is the big wild card,
right? That's the thing with the tides and stuff like that. I don't think the flooding would be so much from the rain, but the tides and stuff like that. So we have a meeting about that with a town-wide meeting at 1 o'clock today.
At 1 o'clock today. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, obviously,
all the agencies get together.
If there's anything that comes to that meeting, please call us.
Yes, we will let you know.
In our last minute here together, what else do you want to tell us about?
So today we're going to the RTM for approval for our, what's called plan review fees for the fire department. So our fire marshal's division, they review anytime any sort of commercial building gets built. They review the fire plans for any sprinkler systems, exits, and things like that. So we're going to charge a fee for that. Where all municipalities in the Fairfield County do it. We're like the last one. So for everybody out there, it's only for 3-family homes and more. It's not for if you're going to build your own house, you put an addition on your house and stuff like that. It's only for they're going to build an apartment building or whatever. It's for stuff like that. So it's not for the average taxpayer and stuff like that. So, a lot of time and effort go into these plan reviews. We have one deputy fire marshal in particular does it, and they put a lot of work into it. So,
and again, that goes before the RTM tonight.
Yes, it got approved by the Board of Selectmen and goes to RTM tonight.
And we heard from the RTM earlier today that meeting is going on. They don't anticipate any issues with the weather. Anything else you wanted to tell us about?
No, that's it, man. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
here with you
I
guys.
enjoyed being here with you. I'm glad that you came in.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
Sorry we didn't get to talk about food in the firehouse. But
well, we have 30 seconds left. I will just say this. I said this before. I know a fireman in New Rochelle whose wife steps out of the way and says he's going to handle it, especially if it's more than 2 people that he's cooking for.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you learn when you first come.
Par for the course.
My first thing, besides learning my job, is how to cut French fries with a French fry cutter and then deep frying them. So,
deep fry.
Yeah, different generation. Some of the guys eat a lot more healthier. The guys I worked with would throw it in the garbage.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here.
Yes,
and again,
thank you all very much. It was a lot of fun, man.
Thank
I
you.
miss Tony.
Yes, he'll be back next week.
Yes, hopefully.
All right. Chief McHugh, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Dr. Brendan White. I've been an optometrist for 29 years now. I started taking Balance of Nature fruits and vegetables 20-something years ago, and I've been taking it ever since. My practice is called Envision Eye Health. We're all about preventative eye care. One of the things established from eye research is fruits and vegetables are good for our eye health. So I've always liked Balance of Nature from that sense. And the concept is clear from the title. This is the way our nutrition was meant to be acquired, through fruits and vegetables. So my favorite question I get when I'm working in my clinic is, Doctor, well, what do you do? And I tell them I take Balance of Nature. It's a great product, and I can't think of another product that has a more broad-reaching scale of things that it can improve in our health.
Start your journey to better health. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get free shipping. And don't forget to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code LAURA.
From the WGCH Weather Center.
To a weather advisory from midnight tonight through 6 o'clock in the morning Wednesday for inland areas, and a coastal flood advisory 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. tomorrow. Rain and snow developing today, changing to all rain. Temperatures around 40. Tonight, rain mixing with changing to snow, becoming heavy at times, becoming windy. A low 30 to 35. Snowfall 1 or 2 inches. And tomorrow, snow heavy at times, windy and cold. 32 to 36. Snowfall 2 to 5 inches. Heaviest amounts inland. Wednesday, partly sunny, breezy, 35 to 40. Enjoy winter weather without driving in it. Take the Port Jeff Ferry to Long Island, New York. Experience the great winter season shopping in Port Jefferson, Long Island, New York. Call the Port Jeff Ferry at 888-443-3779. I'm meteorologist Bill Jack. We've been on 1490 WGCH and WGCH.com anywhere.
WGCH News Center time is 9:33. We are joined, as I previously mentioned, although I got the name of the person coming in incorrect, but we have Colin Bassett from Greenwich GEMS, and we are so pleased that you are joining us. As the fire chief was leaving, you were coming in. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess, first off, there's a nice list of things that you wanted to discuss this morning, but I understand that GEMS, which is the Greenwich Emergency
Medical Services,
is having a joint training with the police department.
Yeah, so we recently, a couple weeks ago, for every full-time and part-time employee, we had a joint training with a focus on mental health awareness and how to work collaboratively as a team on psychiatric calls. In this town, which is kind of unique, Greenwich Police Department are our first medical responders. They respond to every call along with the ambulance. So we do a lot of training together organically in that sense. But as police and EMS, we have sort of different protocols we follow, and so we like to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we sent all of our employees through the ICAT training, which stands for Integrating Communications, Assessments, and Tactics. And the main focus on that is verbal de-escalation. You know, we're going to be talking to people as long as people are talking to us. Sometimes that takes 10 minutes, and that could take 2 hours, 4 hours. Doesn't matter, as long as we've got an open dialogue with somebody who's having some sort of mental health crisis. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk it out
with the police standing by.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll initiate. Generally there's more of them around than there are of us, so they'll usually be the first ones there, and they'll kind of initiate that first conversation, give us sort of a rundown of what's going on. We like a scene size up, letting us know this is what we have, this is what we're dealing with. This is where we're trying to get to, and whatever we can do to assist in that process is what we do.
And I guess at what point? And Colin, by the way, what your title?
Director of Quality Assurance.
So, at what point in this process do the police turn to you and go, "Hey, this is yours now"? Does it work that way, or is it just kind of like an unspoken thing when you know?
So, what's interesting about Greenwich, which is different from a lot of places, is sometimes we don't ever get to that point where we're like, "We're done, it's yours." We've had, depending on the situation, we might have, police involvement. They'll come with us to the hospital in the back of our ambulance, and they'll be there the entire time. And really, once we transfer the patient to the hospital, that's when everybody kind of, okay, now it's yours. And we might be in that process together for, start of call to transfer at the hospital. So, and it also, it depends on the situation and what we're dealing with too.
What are some of the situations? I mean, this is real life here.
Yeah. COVID did a number on people. We've experienced more mental health crises than we have. That's the numbers. You just Google amount of mental health disorder increases over the last 3 years, and they're huge. And a lot of people need assistance that they might not be able to get through talking with family or necessarily a therapist. So we've definitely been seeing an increase in psychiatric-related calls, and so we've had to sort of adapt. I think as a country overall, but definitely in the town of Greenwich, like we've taken a much different approach to handling psychiatric patients, and along with this emphasis on verbal de-escalation and integration with the police department when we're on these calls to talk to people to realize like this isn't we're not just going to grab you and force you to go to the hospital right off the bat because something's wrong with you.
How often when you get the call, when you arrive at the scene, is the scenario different than maybe what you anticipated?
Fortunately, in other places I would say a lot, but fortunately in Greenwich we have a really good dispatch center.
Okay.
So very rarely are we sent somewhere and the call is different than what we've been dispatched to, which is really nice. And that, that's important for us, sort of gets the critical thinking going when we get dispatched to a call and, they tell us it's, for example, if they say it's shortness of breath, I'm starting to think of, what could it be, what my treatments are going to be, what I'm mentally preparing myself for. Not saying we can't change on the fly. It's nice to kind of form a pre-plan in your head of what you're going to do when you get there. So we're pretty lucky in this town to be well aware of what we're walking into when we do.
I forgot about that part of it. Right?
It's a huge part of it.
Yeah, the dispatcher is a huge, link in this chain.
I always say, people always say, police and fire are first responders, and we are. But if you look, like technically, realistically, the people that answer the phone,
right,
they're the first responders.
First,
because when they're the ones that get no information, they get a 911 call, they have no idea what the person on the line is going to say.
Yeah,
we have that luxury of being dispatched, and they've told us, you're going to XYZ for XYZ. This is what to expect when you get there. But when they get a 911 call, you don't know who's on the other line. It could be somebody saying, like, I've just crashed my car into a river and it's sinking. You're like, okay, quick thinking, got to figure out how to talk to this person. So yeah, they are. It's truly, flying blind at some points.
And the police department is they receive the calls, everything at the same time as you.
Yeah, we get dispatched
simultaneously
at the same time. Yeah.
And you get there at the same time.
A lot of times, just because of the way that the police are moved, there's a lot more of them out there than us.
Okay,
they're usually.
Okay. I think you said that.
They're usually there before us, but sometimes not. Depending on whatever circumstances are happening in the town as a whole.
ICAT training. This is another one of those. So there's a lot of letters here. Can you break down what this integrating communications assessment and tactics? What does that mean?
All right. So very simply, what that means is you come up with a plan. You weigh all your information. So you walk into a scene, you're like, I'm going to talk to the person. I'm going to get information about what's going on. We're going to come up with a plan. We're going to make a decision, and then we're going to move to a resolution, which is usually a hospital. And throughout that circle, I'm going to be constantly evaluating the situation around me. So essentially, your end goal is the safe resolution, generally to a hospital, whatever that may be. So if you have that in mind, you always have that in mind. So you kind of just, if something changes, all right, well, let's start this circle again. Let's gather more information. Let's try to figure out what else might be going on. And you kind of just reevaluate this circle of gathering information and communicating with somebody to change, to get to your resolution. So it's kind of a circle that you constantly go around. So that's it simply. That we're going to constantly reassess, reevaluate. And, like I said, you might walk on scene and somebody might be having a mental health crisis, and within 10 minutes, you figured out the who, what, where, when, why. You've talked with them and you've come up with a resolution. But like if you're there for 4 hours, you're going to have to keep kind of going around. And as long as they're talking to you, that's where we're going to stay. We're going to stay in that area.
And is it easy enough that when, let's say, if it is someone that has mental illness, let's say, and when you do respond, I'm sure like the amount of time that it takes to actually talk that person down from whatever it is that's bothering them or whatever their intention of doing, that are you able to get them down like in a certain time period, or is there, if you don't get them down, let's say within like a couple of minutes, then would the police move in to then try and get them?
Not necessarily. So that with that training, with us kind of being on that same page of mental health, we're gonna, as long as we have an open dialogue, we're gonna keep that dialogue going. So there really is no time limit. I mean, we have, if your shift's over, well, we'll get somebody in, we'll relieve you.
It's like radio.
Yeah.
Right. I can't leave here.
Can't leave. Yeah.
Tony or Matt don't show up, I can't leave.
No, you're here. So.
Hey, I wanted to ask you more about, you mentioned, obviously it's Greenwich Hospital that you're working
primarily,
with.
Yeah.
Why? What? White Plains?
We do transfer to White Plains rarely, and generally most of our traumas, because Stanford is a trauma center. If they meet our state criteria, we'll go there.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
And patient choice. If somebody wants to go to Stanford over Greenwich,
really,
and it's reasonable, and we can do that. Yeah.
And I guess, how does that work? Walk us through that moment when you arrive. What do you jump out and who do you talk to? What do you tell them? What happens as that person is being brought in?
So we'll usually do a pre-arrival notification through a CMed radio, coordinated medical emergency dispatch. We'll alert the hospital and let them know, to expect us, and sort of a general, age, history, what's going on, how they are now, and when we're going to show up. So they'll have a kind of not necessarily surprising them. I don't like surprises. Nobody likes surprises. I guess maybe some people do. But we kind of let them know what to expect. And then we're usually met by the charge nurse, who has a room picked out. We go there, and then we give verbal report to a nurse or a doctor based on what we have, what we're looking at. And we work pretty closely with Greenwich Hospital too, so it usually is a pretty easy conversation. And most of our crew, we're patient advocates. So if we think something might be going on, we'll say,
by nature you're a patient advocate, or
yeah, I mean,
you feel
in this field we are.
Compulsion. Okay.
And you do, in this field you are. You've got this person for a short amount of time, but you develop this really deep, intense relationship with somebody, whatever the situation is, kind of the nature of the job. You're seeing people on their worst days, and you have a limited amount of time to be a trusted, familiar, and friendly face. So a lot of us are really good at that. And so that sort of quick connection leads to an organic, I got you, and then you get to the hospital, and the Greenwich is great. They totally what do you think's going on, or what helped, what worked. They're very interested in what we've done.
The hospital.
Yeah, very much so. So it makes transfer of care a really good process.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. I wonder, before we take a break, what was this like during the last? Because we heard this morning, by the way, that this is the 3rd anniversary of when the lockdowns first started.
Yeah.
Now, were you at GEMS for this?
I was, yeah. I was still in my current position, and I remember...
Give us the 1 minute. What the heck was that like?
It was like trying to fly a plane while building it at the same time.
Yeah, I get that. Believe it or not, because live radio is chaotic. No one's going to die, but it's chaotic, so I completely get that. Yeah,
I'm here, though.
Yes, and he's Wow. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk with Colin Bassett of GEMS about training, CPR training.
Your family is the reason you work hard every day. You clothe them, you feed them, and you support the things they love to do. What would happen if you were to pass away? Would your family be able to afford the things they have now? That's why life insurance is so important to have. It's a way to help replace your income and protect your family if you aren't around to take care of their finances. Instead of calling a 1-800 number, you can choose a local agent who will be there to find the right financially secure life insurance. The life insurance agents at Greenwich Independent Insurance are ready for your call.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bologna. If Medicare is in your future, we're here to help you get started with supplements for Original Medicare. Long-term care insurance can help secure your path to financial security. Let's discuss your options.
And I'm Ray Beninotto. Times are changing, and life insurance is more important than ever. Protect your family's future. We can help.
Call, email, or visit Lisa, Ray, and Rick at GreenwichInsurance.com. 203-869-0302.
All right, we are back with Colin Bassett. WGCH News Center time is 9:46, and as we promised, we'll talk now about CPR training. April is time for some classes, Colin?
Yeah, so we have, we have two classes coming up. We have a class on April 4th, and that's a hands-only CPR and AED, which is an automated external defibrillator training. And then on April 20th, we have Heart Saver, CPR, and AED training. And those can be registered for on our website, which is www.greenwichems.org. And I encourage everybody to get trained in CPR. It is not just a good idea. I mean, it is actual fact. I have the evidence to back it up that bystander CPR saves lives.
When my daughter was born, I was an anxious dad. Okay, and my wife said, "Well, listen, you have to take this CPR training." She thought maybe it would help me. The truth is, it made me a little more anxious because now I'm on. I'm on call, right? But one of the things that we did learn was that hands only. Is that just as effective?
Yeah, so you figure your average person has probably about 6 to 8 minutes of oxygenated blood left in their body. I can't hold my breath that long, but theoretically I could. So the importance is those compressions, because the compressions are what is going to move that oxygenated blood to the rest of your organs. Brain needs oxygen and glucose. All your organs need oxygen to work. So we're moving that oxygen around and perfusing those organs with CPR. And also, not everybody has a barrier device or a device to breathe for somebody. And, as we all learned in COVID, we don't kiss strangers, so we don't do mouth-to-mouth anymore.
Yeah, COVID had to be the death knell for the...
Yeah, we at EMS had known for a long time that's not something we do anymore.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, COVID, absolutely not. Yeah, just, and, part of the problem is that breathing for somebody else, people don't necessarily understand how much people breathe or... how hard to breathe in or how hard to squeeze a bag if they have a bag. And, we find, the AHA has found that the compressions are just less effective with all these pauses for doing breaths. So that hands only, just get that oxygenated blood circling until somebody else shows up.
The AHA is the Heart Association?
Yeah. They do research constantly, and they release updates. I was very lucky in my youth to get a copy from a friend of mine of the journals that they do, and it was thousands and thousands of pages, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of case studies, cohort studies, research that they all look at all this data and come up with, what works best. But throughout this whole time, what we know works best is early access to CPR and early access to defibrillation with an AED. So bystander CPR, like the two things guaranteed to save lives that you learned about in a CPR class.
Yeah.
You already can do the life-saving stuff.
Talk to us about the AED, that machine.
Yeah.
Don't be intimidated.
No, don't be intimidated. They are very user-friendly. They talk to you. They talk to you. They tell you what to do. They tell you how to do it. Tells you where to put the pads. There's even pictures that tell you where to put the pads. It runs you through the entire series of events, tells you when to start CPR, tells you when to stop CPR, tells you when to not touch the patient. They're great.